This is the LUMOS AURO V2, a Netflix certified 1080p projector with a full-size HDMI port at the back. Now, full disclosure, LUMOS did send me this projector for free. This is not a sponsored video. Today I'm going to show you some of the features of this projector and tell you whether or not I think it's worth the cash. Speaking of which, it is currently in Australia at $498. In the spirit of getting to the point, I will tell you right now, I do think it is worth the cash, especially at that price point, and especially considering that a lot of other 1080p projectors in that price point are often more expensive. So let's get into it. So the projector came in this pretty nice box here, obviously very focused on the Netflix and Dolby Digital certification. It has a single figure 8 power cable in it, a HDMI cable as well, and obviously the controller too. We've got two USB-A ports at the back there, as well as the full-size HDMI port and the power connector. 3D stereo surround sound. It's pretty loud. Now this will fit on a normal tripod. It actually does come with a stand, and putting the stand together is pretty straightforward. At the time of this recording, the LUMOS AURO V2 is 498 Australian dollars, which makes it a pretty good deal considering what you get with the kit. Putting the tripod thread there, or threading it onto the projector, was probably not the most straightforward thing. I was a little bit worried I was going to drop it, but I've done this multiple times now and I've become quite confident in setting that up. Here we have it set up in my bedroom at home, and I'm just going through the initial setup steps. So obviously, first of all, you're going to want to connect it to your Wi-Fi connection, and then you can go through and actually set up Netflix straight from the get-go if you want to. I will talk more about the remote shortly. Once you do finally set it up, we do have a couple of different settings here. The main focus we're looking at here is the picture, and this is the auto keystone effect. So what this feature basically does is it tries to find the best focus and the best positioning on your wall. Now, obviously, orientation-wise, I'm trying to match it up with my blind here, using that as a makeshift projector screen. So I've gone in and manually made those adjustments. It is pretty intuitive. It takes a little bit of time, but once you've locked it in, you've locked it in. You can make some adjustments to your image zoom there, and then get stuck into the individual keystone correction settings. So you can get it to auto keystone on startup every single time. Also do it upon motion. So if you accidentally move the tripod or make any adjustments to it, it will auto keystone every time. That can get a little bit annoying, so I recommend turning that feature off once you have put the projector in the position that you want to put it in. You can do some gyroscope calibrations there as well if things are a little bit off, and some additional settings there. The autofocus feature itself, you can set that every time you turn it on as well, but you can also use the plus and the minus on the remote there to be able to make any sort of precision-based adjustments if you're not happy with the autofocus level. We are looking at this in a slightly brighter room, just for the purposes of showing this demonstration, but it really does shine in a dark room. That's where you want it set up. We also have our sound settings there as well. It does work with ARC. I suspect that you would be able to plug in a soundbar if you wanted to as well. A few different video picture modes too, sport, vivid, all the sort of stuff that you would see on a standard TV. You can muck around with that a fair bit. I enjoy the game mode the most. And there you can see the Dolby Digital options as well, if you want to set it up that way. You can do your dialogue enhancement, which is pretty common. Do that on soundbars as well, where the center channel is increased, so you can hear that dialogue. You can also make adjustments to auto volume based on the room. I did not use this feature very often. I found that just making those manual volume adjustments was the way to go. We do have a way of being able to download additional applications like Disney, PLEX, and Vivo, and so on. PLEX being one of the bigger ones. I found PLEX was installed by default, but it was not on the home screen. So I just had to go in there, find the PLEX application, and then go ahead and sign in, which you can just do via a QR code, exactly the same way that you would on a normal TV. If you don't know what Plex is, have a look into it. It might be good for your home. We can only have so many things on the home screen here. So what you want to do there is you want to just move a couple of different things around if you want to make some adjustments there. There is a proprietary app store that has a little bit in it. Plex is in there as well, but I would suggest going in via the app assistant rather than via the app store. So the remote is pretty straightforward. You've got your power button in the top right, mute, and your source button directly underneath that. The minus and the plus button are used for focusing. You've got your standard ring there, up, down, left and right, your back button, home and settings, and then your dedicated Netflix, YouTube and Prime Video buttons. So here we have the LUMOS projector in comparison to my Samsung Q80 in almost near darkness in my living room. And I'm just projecting that onto one of my blinds. I'm going to show you what it looks like turning on just some ambient lighting in the background. This ambient lighting is behind my television and also behind my couch as well. I'm now going to turn on the lights to the living room. So as you can see in full brightness, this probably isn't ideal, but that's not what these projectors are for. They are designed to be run in darkness. So I'm now going to make some slight adjustments to my light. This is on a dimmer switch. I'm just going to show you gradually what it looks like as the room eventually becomes darker and darker. And so there on the ceiling we have very, very minimal light. I'm now going to turn off the light completely. That is the overhead light off. And I'm going to follow that up now with my ambient lighting turned off as well. I'm going to quickly show you what it looks like if I was to move the projector slightly. So I'm going to adjust the projector there and then place it back to where it was, roughly. And as you can see, the auto keystone comes into effect. It makes an adjustment based on the maximum size and on the distance, and it also gets the autofocus going. So that's pretty close. In terms of the autofocus, you can make some slight adjustments on the remote there, just to be able to fine tune it a little bit further. And then from there, if I really wanted to, I could go ahead and go to the auto keystone section or the manual keystone section and correct it like so. So like every projector, there's also going to be some ambient noise. This isn't too distracting, but ideally you wouldn't be sitting directly behind it like I am now. Once you turn up the volume, however, that goes away quite quickly.
Big boy on the left, small sub on the right.
Now, it's very likely that the Auro V2 is going to get compared to something like the Samsung Freestyle. But the Samsung Freestyle is a completely different projector. First of all, it's more than twice the price of the Auro V2 and more designed for portability and a little bit more versatile in terms of the movements. As for the picture quality between the two, the reality is that the Auro V2, in my opinion, has better picture quality, but it is also obviously a bigger projector as well. Here's a look at the Auro V2 running during daylight. So the lights are off in my room, and as you can see, as I draw the blinds around there, it comes through. It's very, very clear. I have to say that I'm very impressed with this projector considering the price point. Now, the LUMOS projector has a full-size HDMI port at the back. Being a 1080p projector, I figured I'd pair it up with the Xbox Series S. Pretty good use case. So we can game on this thing. Let's give it a go. Let's head back to my room now. We'll load up some Elden Ring there and turn down the lights. So plugging in the Xbox Series S into the back of this, it worked as expected. It has HDMI CEC, which means that if I turn on the Xbox, it turns on the projector, which is pretty cool. Obviously, this is not a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is what you would want, but I wanted to try and get it to fit there perfectly on my blind, and I have to say it is quite an immersive experience. It is very, very difficult to be able to show how good this projector looks by filming it with another device like the Osmo Pocket 3. And that's it. I hope you found this review helpful. I have to say that I'm incredibly impressed by this projector, especially at this price point. I have multiple TVs and monitors and all sorts of stuff around my home, but adding projector into the mix, especially for things like movie nights, is fantastic. My kid absolutely loves it. The novelty of getting to watch shows like Bluey up on a wall is priceless. So if you're considering bringing a projector into your home, the LUMOS AURO V2 is absolutely something that you should consider. I'll include as much information as possible in the description below, and as always, hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.